Now on today's hunt, I'm using my 338 Win Mag here. It's a Rocky Mountain rifle that I had specially built for me. It's fairly lightweight and it's kind of a dream to carry around. My buddy Dan's using a 375 H&H. Now we're both using fairly light for Calibre bullets. In the case of Dan, he's using this 250 grain GMX. And in my case, I'm using 185 grain in the 338. And one of the comments we hear a lot is, geez, I wish they made heavier bullets in the monometals. There's absolutely no reason for it. First thing you got to remember is these monometals need impact velocities of about 2,000 feet per second or higher. So in the case of both these bullets, we're looking at about a 500-yard maximum range. So these aren't long-range bullets by any means. One of the only reasons to go for heavier bullets in a monometal would be to gain a ballistic coefficient. Certainly the lighter weight in these has no trouble penetrating. Even with 185 grain in the 338, we're going to get full penetration on a moose or a big animal like that. So, in the old days when bullets weren't well constructed and they shed a lot of weight, it was important to start with a lot of weight. But now we've got 99, 100% weight retention. We don't need to start with that high weight, to get that really good penetration. So let's just look at the 185 grain in the 338 here. Got a ballistic coefficient of about 0.420, muzzle velocity of about 3,080 feet per second. Now, if I were to go up to a 225 grain, I'd probably be into that ballistic coefficient of about, 0.48, which sounds a lot better on paper, but if we really look at it, it's not. First of all, we're going to start with a lot lower muzzle velocity. Let's say we average 2,800 at the muzzle with it. So at 500 yards, I'm still over 2,000 feet per second with the 185 grain. Whereas with the 225, I dip below that 2,000 foot impact velocity at about 450 yards. No doubt way down range somewhere, that higher ballistic coefficient is going to pay off. But really when we have to worry about keeping our impact velocities high, it's not going to be within practical hunting range of either of these. Again, ballistic coefficient really doesn't help you there. Now the other argument people will give you is that, they buck the wind a lot better. And to some degree they do, but again, that speed helps. And with the 185 grain at 500 yards and a 10-mile-an-hour wind, I've got about 19.8 inches of wind deflection. With the 225 grain, I've got 19 inches. So as you can see, it's not a significant difference. And as far as drop goes, so I've got the Rapid Z and the Conquest HD5 here. So I can really compensate for whatever ballistics my bullet has. So that doesn't really come into play. These lightweight bullets, a lot less recoil, and we end up with higher impact velocities. And we all know the faster a bullet goes through flesh, the more damage it does, and we're not worried about penetration. So really, there is no reason to go to the big weights in the monometals.